good, Mama.
GrandMommy, what's Piggly, Wiggly, and Squiggly's adventure today?
Oh, well, welcome, girls and boys. Today's adventure is the surprise, a Mother's Day surprise. Now, yesterday was Mother's Day, as we all remember, right? So, for a whole month, ever since April the 9th, because that was a whole month ago, Piggly, Wiggly, and Squiggly would tell Mommy, yeah, we're playing, and they did play. They played a lot, but every day they would try to go to somebody's house and say, I want to earn money to buy my mommy a nice Mama's Day gift. Do you have anything that I can do to make some money? Well, Squiggly was the fastest, so he mowed, I think he mowed 15 lawns for people, their front yards. Yeah, 15 front yards he mowed for people. He mowed for Mrs. Sally Skunk. He mowed for the Fox family. He mowed for Rocky Raccoon's daddy. He mowed for. He even mowed some of Farmer Brown's front yard, and he got a whole bunch of money. Well, Piggly was a good cleaner-upper, and so he would go, and sometimes he would rake the yards after Squiggly had mowed them, or he would clean up the barns, or he would clean out the horse stalls. He was a good cleaner-outer. Well, Piggly actually could paint very good. And there was a lot of people in the woods that liked, or that needed rather, their barns painted, or their fences painted, or their outside of their houses painted. And so that's what Piggly did. Well, here comes May the 7th, May the 8th, May the 9th was Mother's Day. They kept a little calendar in their room, and they marked off with an X every day until Mother's Day. So they go to the store the day before, on the 8th, they go to the store, and they asked Mr. Farmer Brown to take them to the store, but don't tell their mama what they were going to do. So they told Mr. Farmer Brown, if you take us to the store, we can buy our mommy a Mother's Day presents, and that's what we were working so hard for. And Mr. Farmer Brown says, oh, boys, that is such a nice idea. Of course I'll take you. So he came over to the house, and he says, hi, Mama Piggy. And she says, well, hello, Mr. Farmer Brown. How are you today? And he says, I am just fine. He says, but I need the boys to over at my house for a little bit. Would you mind if I borrowed the boys for a little while? And so she said, of course not. And so he says, okay, boys, jump in the car. And down the road they went, but they didn't turn into Farmer Brown's driveway. They went on down to town. And so he says, now you boys need any help, or do you know what you want to get? And all the boys said, we know what we want to get, Mommy. We know what we want to get, and we know the store to go to. So off they went, and Farmer Brown says, wait a minute, before you get too far, I'm going to sit right here in the car. I brought my book to read, and I'm going to sit here in the car and wait for you. That's why I parked underneath the shade tree. And the boys said, okay. Well, believe it or not, everything that they wanted, they could get at one store. So that made it pretty good. Yeah. Well, they went to Walgreens Walgreens, boys and girls, is a very, very old store. It's been around since before GrandMommy was here, and that's old.
Really old.
Really old.
Really.
So they walk in the door, and Piggly says, "Okay, I'm going to go this way." And Squiggly says, "Well, I'm going to go this way." And Wiggly says, "I think I need to go way in the back over there." Or Squiggly, I mean. So since Squiggly had to go so far, we'll wait and see what he found. So Piggly went this way. Oh my gracious sakes. He found the cutest little hair bows and sparkly clips and everything for Mommy Piggy's hair. Oh, she was going to look so pretty. Oh my gracious sake. He picked this one and he picked that one. He picked this one and he picked two of those because they matched. And he picked that one. Oh my. He had a whole armful by the time he was through.
Did he have enough money?
He had $15. And don't forget, he also made $15 when he worked for the circus, so he had a bunch of money. But being a smart little piggy, he put that circus money back in the hidey hole so that he would have a little bit of extra savings. So he only used the $15 he made painting. Well, Wiggly, in the meantime, he goes over to the perfume and the pretty powder and all that good smelly stuff that makes Mommy so pretty. Yeah, he was looking at the fingernail polish too, and he said, "Why not? I've seen ladies with fingernail polish on, and it's not just always red. Sometimes it's green and blue and purple. I think I'm going to get one bottle of each one for my mama." So he got the good smelling perfume and the good smelling powder that you put all over you to make you smell good, and the pretty little nail polish. Don't look at GrandMommy's hands now. And he went up to the counter with his arms full.
Does he have enough money too?
He had enough money because Wiggly sometimes is kind of crazy, but he can figure up pretty quick in his head how much he had spent. So Wiggly knew that his mommy used to like, well, she still does, to write poems. So he goes back to the back part of the store that had paper and pens, ink pens, and colored markers and things like that. And oh, he bought Mommy some pretty tablets with flowers on them, and some of them had polka dots and just beautiful flowers and things like that. He bought her 2 tablets, a whole bunch of pencils, and 2 or 3 ink pens. I think there was 3 ink pens, and some colored markers. Well, he comes up with quite a bit too. So now the clerk is looking at these 3 little pigs. He said, "I think I know who you guys are. You're Piggly." No, you're Wiggly. "No, I'm Squiggly. We all look alike." He says, "Okay, then introduce yourself and see if I know." "Okay, I'm Squiggly, and I'm Piggly, and I'm Wiggly." "That's what I thought. I know who you are. I've seen you boys around. How did you got enough money for all this stuff that you're buying?" "Yes, we do." Well, Piggly's hair dooey stuff came up to $13.11. Quick, how much we have left over? And so never mind, we won't figure it out how much we have left. $1.89? $1.89 we have left over. And Piggly thought, "Woohoo! Now I can put that with my circus money and I'll have more money." So Wiggly's pretty smell goods and her nail polish, his total was $16.05.
Uh-oh.
And he looks at Wiggly, and he goes, Wiggly? Okay, Piggly. Wiggly. Sorry. I'll loan you the $1 and the 5 cents. And that was a nice thing for brothers to do, wasn't it? So here comes Squiggly with all of his paper and his pens and his markers, and he comes up to the counter, and whew, his was $15 even. So the clerk that was working there, he puts all the Wigglies in Wiggly's bag, and he puts all the Pigglies in Pigglies' bag, and he puts all the Squigglies in Squiggly's bag, and out the door they ran. And they go down to Mr. Farmer Brown's truck, and you know, bless his little heart, Mr. Farmer Brown was sound asleep. He had read himself to sleep because the boys took so long. And they knocked on the door, and he goes like that. Oh, your boys, you're through. Okay, let's go home. Was I sleeping? And they all said, yes, you were sleeping. And he goes, oops, I'm sorry. He said, was I snoring? And they go, well, we didn't hear any snoring, but maybe you were. And Farmer Brown says, okay, boys, climb in. Did you get everything that you wanted? Oh, Mr. Farmer Brown, we sure did. Well, do you have a box or something to put the stuff in? Or a bag or anything like that? They all go at once. Oh, we have to put him in something? We just can't hand them to her? Oh dear. What are we going to do? We don't have any money left. What are we going to do? And Mr. Farmer Brown says, I got you covered, boys. So they go home to Mrs. Farmer Brown. And he says, Mrs. Farmer Brown, honey, these boys need some help. She says, oh, Mr. Farmer Brown, what do they boys need? And he says, well, the boys either need wrapping paper or bags or boxes. She says, okay, boys, she says, I tell you what, lay out all your stuff on my big table here, and then I'll look and see what you need, and I'll get up in the attic, and I'll bring you down some real nice stuff to put in for your mama for your present. So Piggly laid out all of his smelly goods, and is that right? Smelly goods and nail polish. And Wiggly laid out all of his hair stuff. Oh my, it was so pretty. And Squiggly laid out all of his paper stuff and his ink pens and his markers. And she looked and she says, boys, you've done a wonderful job. Oh, well, your mommy is going to be so surprised. She says, okay, let me see what I've got up in the attic. And she goes up in the attic. Her attic was real neat and clean, not like Mrs. Piggy's was that day. And so she goes over to where she had stored all the boxes and all the bags and all the paper and all the ribbons. And she picked this out for Piggly, and she picked that out for Wiggly, and she picked this out for Squiggly, because she knew Mommy Piggy's secret. Wait and you'll find out. So she goes down the stairs and she says, okay, Piggly, I think everything that you bought will fit in this little bag, and I'll show you how to do it. And she handed Piggly a red bag.
Ooh.
She knew Mommy Piggy's secret. And she handed Wiggly a blue bag and Squiggly a green bag. Remember how Mama Pig always makes those shirts in those colors for the boys? She always makes something red for Piggly and something blue for Wiggly and something green for Squiggly. Remember? So Mrs. Farmer Brown knew that, and that's why she got those bags out for the boys. So she showed them how to put the presents in the bag, and she showed them how to stuff some pretty paper in top of the bag, and she says, okay, boys, now here's your bags, and you go home and you have a nice mommy's day tomorrow. So on the way home, Farmer Brown says, do you boys know how to cook? And Squiggly says, well, I know how to make eggs over easy on toast. And Squiggly says, Mama taught me how to make a coconut cake. And Wiggly, was that Wiggly? My memory is bad today, boys and girls. And Piggly says, well, I know how to make soup and grilled cheese sandwiches.
I love it.
So, guess what, boys and girls? Mr. Farmer Brown says, okay, Squiggly, you make breakfast for Mommy Pig tomorrow. Wiggly, you make a coconut cake for all day long. And, excuse me, Piggly, you make lunch tomorrow with soup and grilled cheese. Mr. Farmer Brown, thank you so much for that great idea. Now, the boys were so excited. Oh, my goodness gracious, they were so excited. So now they're home. And so they ran up to their room, and Mommy Piggy goes, I swear I saw those boys come in, but they gone already. And they were up there, and they were hiding their presents and everything, and so they were so excited. Well, they had supper that night, and they went to bed, and they got up the next morning, and Mama Piggy was just getting the cereal out, and they said, nope, Mom, you go back to bed, or you go in the living room and read a book or something, because Squiggly's going to fix breakfast for you. So Squiggly got the frying pan out, and he got the eggs out, and he fixed everybody eggs over easy on toast. Oh, best breakfast ever. Mommy Piggy says, well, I feel like a queen. And all the boys said, Happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to Mommy Piggy. Happy Mother's Day to you. And she goes, oh. And she started crying because it was so wonderful. Well, so after breakfast, they called her in, and they had brought down the presents, and they had put them on the table with their names on them. And she goes, oh my gracious sakes, where did you boys come up with all this money to buy this stuff here that must be in this package? And they said, we've been working. Squiggly says, I can't remember what I did. Anyway, the piggies told her what they had done, and she goes, oh, I'm so proud of you boys. This is so wonderful. So anyway, she opened up all the presents, and she was just amazed. And you talk about somebody that cried. That poor Mama Piggy, she cried every time she pulled one out of the bag. She just, oh my gracious sakes, oh my gracious sakes. And then when she got to the nail polish, boys, I've always wanted something like this. This is wonderful. And then when she got to the hair stuff, and she just goes, oh my goodness gracious, oh my goodness gracious. And she loved the smell goodies. Oh my gosh, all the perfume and the powder. She was the smelliest pig ever. It's a pun. And so she gets to the writing stuff, and the paper was beautiful, and the ink pens were beautiful, and she says, boys, she said, you've done such a sweet thing for me. And I love you very much. Bye, boys and girls. I got to say one quick thing. If you need to catch up on any stories, or if you want to tell somebody about these stories, just go to YouTube and put in Winnie, W-I-N-N-I-E, Skis, S-K-E-E-S, and you'll find all the stories on YouTube. Not that anybody's going to go there, but I hope. All right, bye-bye.